Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Visordown, and today we're reviewing this, the Royal Enfield Scram 411, which is a sort of Himalayan variant, but we'll get into that. Cut some shots of me looking cool riding around, hopefully. If not, let's just get straight into it. So, of course, brand new for 2022 is the Scram 411. It's a sort of Himalayan variant. Now, Royal Enfield have even said themselves that they don't really class this as a brand new bike because it is built on the foundations of the Himalayan 411, which we all know and love. And there's quite a lot here that's similar to the 411 Himalayan, but here it's changed into a more scrambler urban motorcycle. It's brand new, sort of, for 2022, and it's priced at £4,599 for this colour scheme, with a few other different ones, which is like blue, yellow. You've also got £4,699 for a sort of more premium looking option, which to me looks a little bit nicer, to be fair, which funnily enough, the guy that does all of the sort of design and behind the scenes work said that the white, black and red scheme was based off a Nike Jordan shoe, which is a nice little bit of information for you. Of course, just as a throwing in, I'm not going to compare this all the way through to a Himalayan, but naturally that's going to come up. The Himalayan itself is priced at 4,699 or 4,799 UK pounds. So let's get straight into it. I mean, what's new with the bike? I mean, they've got a brand new dash with an insert LCD in the middle. Nice and basic, really clear. You've got the tripper navigation that you'll recognise from the Himalayan, even the Meteor 350, which I reviewed last year, so go and check that out if you haven't already seen it. And to me, it is a very easy to ride motorcycle. What else is new? I mean, you've got a shorter front because the front wheel is 19 inches rather than 21 from the Himalayan. But then sort of working your way back, it's a lot of Himalayan. So you've got the 15-litre tank, the same 411cc engine. You've got the same frame, which is going to be from the Himalayan. A different seat, which is quite comfortable. It's a little bit shorter, so you can jump on it easier, and basically the same is all the way across from the Himalayan onto the Scram. Going straight into the engine, it's a 411cc single cylinder, 24 brake horsepower and 32 newton meters of torque. Now instantly you might be like, well, that's not a lot of power, but it's the same as the Himalayan and loads of people love that. It's really good and easy to get on with. Sometimes you are looking for that extra bit of power, but you just flick it down a gear and you're away. On that, 5 gears, never really had a problem with that at all, because top speed is around 70-80 miles per hour, and naturally on a test as we are today in sort of south of England, Brighton area, and is it South Downs? That sort of area we've been riding around today, and at no point have I ever been searching for 6th gear. So 5th gear will be okay if you're looking for an urban bike or something that you're going to be then on the weekends taking out into these sort of roads that we've been on today, so the sort of back roads and the twisty nice segments. And you can even do a little bit of green laning, allegedly. We didn't do anything on the off-road segment other than just riding up some paths, which was sort of light green laning. But it's nice and easy to get on with. As I say, the throttle power is quite smooth, quite linear. Sometimes, as I say, you are searching for that bit of power, but it's easy to get along with. Of course, naturally, it's an A2 compliant motorcycle as well. So that'll mean that you can go from your 125 all the way to your A2 and get straight onto this. So again, sort of taking it back to the Himalayan is the half duplex split cradle frame. And that's going to be something that you can recognise from the Himalayan itself. But you've also got a few touches to make it more of a Scram. As I say, we were looking through all of the sketches and stuff like that they were doing when they were conceptualising this motorcycle a couple of years ago. So you'll recognise these number boards from perhaps the flat track series, which if you go to visordown.com, you'll find my review of the flat track school from Royal Enfield, which is the dirt craft, and it was incredible, great fun. But yeah, this is a sort of nod to that, where the Himalayan is the base with a slightly uprated motor from the 650 twins. So in terms of service intervals and stuff like that, this is going to be something you need to service every 3,000 miles or so, I'm told, and that'll be around £100. It's £160 for the 6,000 mile service. So factor that in if you're going to be running this quite far per year, because you're going to look at around £260 per 6,000 miles. Also, it is worth noting that this is already in dealership. So if you go down to your local Royal Enfield dealer, you're going to be finding the Scram 411 that you can sit on, maybe go for a test ride, and it's worth having a look at. So naturally, on a test like this, you're going to be riding around on the sort of roads that the manufacturer will expect their core user group to basically be riding around on. So we started at a nice posh winery, rode down across some lovely little hilly areas in, I believe, the South Downs National Park area, down into Brighton, where we stopped at a little coffee spot near a skate park and did some really cool stuff. I didn't do a kickflip, I can't skate at all. Then we were taken back out of Brighton towards the beach, along the seafront, past some graffiti, and then back over here. You'll notice that it's quite a lot of cool, hip, young, cool stuff. I'm not really that cool, to be honest, but I did feel quite cool on this, I've got to say. So yeah, riding about, nice and easy, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot of these in the cities and towns of the world, where people are going to be, as Royal Enfield put in it, hustling 5 days a week, and then at the weekend going for a little bit of fun on the back roads, green lanes, twisty roads. And it certainly did that. The smaller front wheel, the 19-inch front wheel, allowed the bike to really turn in quite nicely. In terms of then holding the line, it felt really smooth and easy to get along with. But braking power with the 300mm front disc and the 240mm rear disc with dual channel ABS did feel a little bit lacking. When you hammer on the front brake, it did start to sort of, you know, you really had your heart in your mouth for some moments when you're really pushing on, because it's really soft. It sort of feels quite spongy. If you give it a good squeeze, you do come to a nice stop. But yeah, I mean, the brake power could be a little bit improved. But at the same time, you've got to consider, if you're going to be riding this around in towns, cities as a new rider, you don't want to be grabbing a fistful of front brake and locking up the front and going over your handlebars. That's not going to happen on this. In terms of the weight, the Scrambler is 185 kilograms wet, I believe. The Himalayan itself is 199, so they have cut down the weight quite considerably. It's a real cut down front end, and it's a slightly more compressed front because of the smaller front wheel, and they've sort of angled the steering angle a little bit. So that helps in the corners and going through twisty roads, and it does mean it's quite accessible to just jump on and start riding. In fact, I'd say that anyone could just jump on this, even if you've only been riding for, you know, under a year. You could jump on this and get along with it absolutely fine. So jumping over to the suspension, you've got a 41mm traditionally sized front fork, and it did feel nice and controlled and stable over some of the bumps, but if you go over real hard bumps, it does start to compress quite quickly. Again, if you're a newer rider, it feels nice and comfortable and stable on the road, and it's easy going. And I think that's something I said in my Meteor 350 review, and that bike has been selling like hotcakes. So easy going is the way that Royal Enfield are positioning their bikes on the market, with a good price tag as well. I will just mention as well, the wheelbase is slightly shorter as well. It's around 1455mm, and some of that is going to be this sort of steeper rake, but of course the smaller front wheel is going to mean that, you know, the wheelbase does come in a little bit anyway. Just to throw a few numbers at you, in terms of front travel of the suspension, you've got 200mm travel. The rear monoshock with linkage, you've got 180mm travel, and the ground clearance is around 200mm. Seat height is 795, and the seat itself, 795mm. The seat itself has been specially designed for the Scram 411 as well, so it's not something you're going to be finding on the Himalayan. It is unique to this bike, and they put a lot of work in. For me, as a taller rider, I'm around 6'4". I did get a little bit of a numb arse towards the end of the ride, and my legs sort of come up past the indents on the tank as well. So I did feel a little bit too big for it, but at the same time I was comfortable for the most part. And we did around 50, 60, 70 miles today, which is around about what you do on a sort of light weekend ride perhaps. So yeah, in terms of comfort, nice and good. The front does lack in terms of any windscreen, but you can just chuck that on as an accessory. And on that point, a lot of the Himalayan accessories will bolt onto this. You will need a different rear fender to bolt on the panniers and luggage set if you are looking to do that, but they can be bolted on from the Himalayan, which is quite nice, because that means that it opens up the accessories from the Himalayan catalogue that can be put straight onto this. And no doubt there's going to be loads of Scram 411 specific parts built for the bike. I would love to tell you about the sort of miles per gallon and the fuel economy, but we've only used 2 bars of fuel, and from my estimates you're going to be easily getting around 200 to 250 miles per tank. As I say, that's literally 2 bars, and I haven't ran it from full to empty, so there's no way of telling, but it seems like you're going to get a good 200 to 300-ish miles per tank. They do tell you that you get a 3.18 litres per 100 kilometres, which is around 60 miles per gallon roughly. So with a 15 litre tank, I think you could probably push to 250 and be happy with that, maybe even further. I know some Himalayan owners are saying you can get even closer to like 70, 80 plus miles per gallon. So that's really a longer term review, shall we say. So just a few of my thoughts about the bike. Now, of course, jumping on a new bike, you really start to try and work it out as quick as you can so you can enjoy the road, but also suss it out from my point of view as a reviewer. The engine itself, really easy going. It doesn't, I wouldn't say lack any grunt, because that's not exactly what you buy a Royal Enfield for. You're not looking for the top power figures. You're looking for something that's easy going, friendly to use, and say in towns and cities, you've got that low end grunt from the single cylinder that's thumping away beneath you. And it's certainly got that. Nice and easy to control in towns and cities. It feels quite compact, so when you're going past traffic and filtering along, it feels really nice and easy to do that. Then when the road opens up, you can happily cruise at say 60, 70 miles per hour, where in fifth gear you start feeling that you're pushing it as far as it can go. But sometimes that's quite nice when you're riding a bike 100% as far as you can and as far as the bike can, and you're really starting to enjoy yourself. And I had a really good day today riding around the Brighton and South England area. I would say that the brakes are a little bit soft for my liking. Sometimes when you're really trying to brush off some speed quickly, the brakes were quite soft and quite slow to slow you down. But at the same time, you know, you put in some rear, put in some front, and you just have to factor in the slightly longer stopping distance and you're going to be fine. You can really start pushing on the rear brake as well, and you can feel the ABS kick in a little bit. I wasn't brave enough to try it out with the front brake, but I'm sure it will do the same. But you can really start giving it a good squeeze and come to a quicker stop if you need to. In terms of comfort and riding around all day, I'd say it's really good. For me as a taller rider, a lot of bikes do feel a little bit more compact, but this one was quite nice. The 795mm seat was comfortable. You could probably get yourself a little pillion on the back as well, so you've got your rear pegs and everything you need for that, and I think it would be a happy place to be. I was carrying a rucksack all day, so it did feel like I was carrying a pillion in a way. But yeah, it was all good, it was comfortable. And then of course the classic Royal Enfield price point, where this comes in at £4,599 as a sort of starting price. I think you're going to be seeing this everywhere. I see a lot of Himalayans on a day-to-day basis, and that's in towns, cities and sort of urban areas, if you want to call it that. And I think you're going to start to see a lot of Scram 411s taking their place, or just be something that people are looking at as a sort of bit of fun, maybe even a second bike to just get around towns, cities, and just go out for the weekend on a little back road or two and just have a little blast down some green lanes. For that price point, it's fantastic. The Meteor 350 sells super well. It's #1 in the UK for that segment, and I think this is going to be starting to inch into that territory as well, where a lot of riders who maybe like the style of the sort of custom scrambler look and can get that straight out of the factory, I think it's going to be a good seller. So that's been the Scram 411 or 411, and I've had a great day today riding this around. It's certainly a bike that's going to be one to look out for in 2022 and beyond. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below whether you'd rather go for a Himalayan or go for this Scram 411. I think I'd go for the Scram. I really like the styling of it. I really like the look and the sort of feel it is on the road. If you're more of an adventurer, just go for the Himalayan. But let us know in the comments what you prefer. Stay up to date with Visordown.com and myself and Toad and Sam and the whole Visordown team by subscribing. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, like the video. I think that fly really enjoyed the video. Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers for watching and ciao.